watching through your window, your neighbors have sex. And yet you invite into your home shows and movies where the characters are having sex.
Well, no, you wouldn't watch through their window because that's a really creepy invasion of privacy. Watching your neighbours have sex through the window is wrong for completely different reasons than Paul thinks. Hello, lovely people. My name is Emma, and I am trying to work out how to live my life with this. I think this is okay, though. Is it massively distracting? Big thing in the foreground? I don't know. We'll work it out. Anyway, yes, my name is Emma, and we are here today to have a little bit of fun. I've been kind of going off recent news. I'm really interested in stuff like the Lil Nas X story and all the controversy around that strikes me as completely hilarious. But it's also everything's so serious, and I kind of felt today like I just want to see something a little silly. I just want to have a little fun. And that is how I ended up, for the first time in my life, on Paul and Morgan's channel. Obviously, before we begin, I am aware that this is content aimed at Christians. I am not a Christian. I do have a good insight into what it is like to be a born-again Christian, thanks to members of my family. And something that I've always found so fun is this hatred of witchcraft. It's something that family members of mine used to joke about. Things like reading Harry Potter or playing a video game where you're a wizard. And it's like, oh, you can't do that. It's not godly, haha, but it's not real, so it's okay, carry on. And they don't actually mind. Whereas there's this sort of, there's this narrow group of people who do genuinely think that any fiction that looks favourably upon sorcery looks terrible. And so when I saw that Paul and Morgan had just done a video called Why We Turned Off WandaVision, A Christian Perspective, I was like, yes, young modern Christians are finally going to explain to me why fiction about witchcraft is evil. The only reason they could genuinely think it's bad is if they actually believe in real witchcraft, which would be such a gift. Can you imagine? So we're gonna watch this video.
Like, I get it. I like Downton Abbey.
Downtown Abbey.
Downtown Abbey. I used to live near the Downton Abbey castle. That's a fun fact. Never watched it though. Not my kind of thing. Now bear with me a second as I struggle to cope emotionally with what is the cringiest title sequence I've ever seen in my entire existence. Oh god, here we go. The music. Ooh, it's just so awful. And then they do this thing, and it's like, oh, he's being so embarrassing, and it's like, no, you're both being so embarrassing. The embarrassment is from everywhere. It's coming from all angles, and I want to escape it. Carry on.
In today's video, why we decided to turn off WandaVision. Now, Morgan, when I thought of this topic, of this title, one of the first things that came to mind was some people may see this and be like, wow, another example of Christians being too sensitive and trying to push their stuff on us when we don't have those same convictions. A week or so ago, where we talked about Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion on the Grammys, and we came down very hard on that and very hard on Christians that were okay with that. This video is not quite there. This video, there's more gray area, and I just want to start out by acknowledging that.
So, get your panties out of a wad.
Get your panties out of a wad, atheists. So we're saying that there's a grey area. Is the grey area, is witchcraft real? Because that's really the only point that matters. Tell me you believe in witchcraft.
Let me try that again. Use maybe a little more appropriate analogy.
Oh, I hate the way he talks to her. We're doing that again, and you can do this better.
So get the stick out your butt. We are leaving the...
I've only seen other people comment on Paul and Morgan. I've never, watched them before. Morgan's kind of a cutie here, right? Is it just me? Having, totally in a vacuum at the very start of this video, all we've seen is the cringy intro and her making, slight potty humour to annoy her husband. It's kind of sweet. Kind of, I'm just saying, because there's only two of them here, I'm just saying, I have a favourite already, you know? Yeah.
We are not... I don't know if we will.
So take a chill pill.
There it is.
Before we get into this video, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. We make videos on culture and social issues from a Christian perspective to help you have hope.
And be free. And quick...
So, I'm going to say, if you want to enjoy commentary from an atheist perspective, and you want to have fun and be free, You should ignore them and you should just subscribe to this channel. Ooh, spicy. Yeah. I've just subscribed to me instead. It's way more fun over here. Get to the end.
WandaVision.
WandaVision.
What's her last name? Kirkonopoulos or something? She has a...
Mikinoff or something.
Yeah.
Maximoff. It's Wanda Maximoff. It's not that. So it's like they've never said an Eastern European name before in their lives. It's like, what's her name? Rofflebloxterflossenbliss?
Yeah, Mikinoff maybe. Wanda Mikinoff, Vision.
Maximoff. It's Max. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Robot. Humanoid. Is that his last name? So let us just set the stage for you before we really dive into the meat of this. You got this show on...
I'm a Marvel fan, just in case you weren't. Just in case that wasn't clear, I'm kind of a Marvel fan, so this might upset me on a whole nother level.
Disney Plus. It's been getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
A lot of attention. And then even more recently, I just have seen people raving about the finale.
On Instagram.
It's fantastic.
All my friends. No, not all my...
It's fantastic. Although, really, initially, most of the news was about the finale being disappointing. I kind of blame the director for coming out ahead of the finale and saying people might be disappointed. I think that was just, don't try and preempt that stuff. I thought it was fantastic. The finale was great. It's leading into the next Doctor Strange movie. It was a really wonderful show. It was a show that primarily dealt with grief, but in like a, in a Marvel way. And it was so different. I'm just going to go off for a second about how much I love WandaVision before they shit on it. It was so different. Like Marvel, I love Marvel to death. I really love Marvel. But film-wise, and even their TV shows, they can be quite formulaic. What they do is brilliant, and so they just do that again and again. And WandaVision was so different. It just threw that formula away, and it had fun and yet was serious and meaningful and like brought these characters that we love into this entire different world and different setup, and it did it fantastically well, and it was so heartwarming and heartbreaking. It was like really fantastic. I just wanted to get that out there before I get too upset.
But I've definitely seen on Instagram some people that I follow, they're like, I was weeping at the finale.
I was
really,
weeping.
yeah, because I guess it came out in like each week a new episode, and then the finale, the final episode, and people were loving it. I initially saw that there was this show called WandaVision. I've watched most of the Marvel movies. I give most of them a thumbs up. When I saw that the whole show was dedicated to one of Marvel's characters who ultimately is a witch. Granted, she's, a superhero witch. Scarlet Witch is her, superhero witch. I'm thinking, hesitant.
Yeah, he was.
So, he's watched most of the movies. He surely has watched then, he must have watched, Age of Ultron and stuff like that. He's clearly seen other content with her in it. What about Doctor Strange? Those movies are entirely about sorcery, and he's in loads of the other movies as well. There's so much sorcery in the history of Marvel. Why is this one a problem? I bet... because all the other sorcerer characters we've had so far have been men. I bet that's what his problem is. I bet it's because, witch, evil magic witch in his head is like woman. I bet that's what it is. Go off on me if you think I'm being a crazy feminist. I bet it's because it's like a female magic user and therefore witch and therefore evil. Because otherwise we should have had this video when Doctor Strange came out. Because Doctor Strange is way more like, I'm a sorcerer, and he says he's a sorcerer, whereas up to, near the end of WandaVision was when we actually finally got formal confirmation in the canon universe that she is Scarlet Witch. She's not really been... She's, her codename has been Scarlet Witch up till now, but her character has never been officially Scarlet Witch. She's just been Wanda up till this point. So what I'm saying is, why aren't you going off on Doctor Strange? It's because Scarlet Witch is a woman. Can't see any other difference, can't see any other reason. Goodbye. Thank you.
We were just looking for a show, and I said, I've seen a bunch of people talk about WandaVision. I actually didn't know anything about Wanda. I just thought she was a superhero, whatever.
And
I didn't realize that she was technically considered a witch.
More or less, I would say superhero overshadows her witchness. Yeah. But that's her name, Scarlet Witch. So for me...
It is now. At this point, when they were looking at content, she wasn't canon Scarlet Witch. But, to be fair, if you're a Marvel fan, you would know that that's who she is and that it is, witchcraft. But again, Doctor Strange.
And guys, again, a little background. Harry Potter... I've read several of the books. I've seen maybe all the movies. Up until about 2 years ago, I was okay with them and gave them a thumbs up. Then more recently,
What
in
changed?
my spirit, I just kind of had a check and felt like I don't think this is profitable for myself and my own convictions. So I decided I'm going to pull away from Harry Potter. That's where I'm.
What happened? Okay, my theory. 2 years ago, Paul had a night terror. Night terrors, traditionally, that was a witch riding on your chest and giving you nightmares. You're supposed to hang a hagstone. I used to collect them because I used to live by the beach. You get a stone with a hole in it, and if you hang that over your bed by a string, stops witches riding you in the night and giving you nightmares. Listen, if you have nightmares, put a hagstone over your bed attached by a string. That's all I'm saying. A pro tip for my followers. Anyway, something changed 2 years ago that meant that Paul was suddenly not able to feel good in himself about consuming content that has magic in it. So, if he was fine with it before, and maybe this answers my, I'm wobbling around like those things that, those children's toys that you flick them and they sort of wobble forever. This is going to make the audio really hard to edit, actually, if I do that. Anyway, I think Paul was visited by a witch, and now he believes in witches, and that's why he can't watch content with witches in them anymore. That's my theory, because otherwise this doesn't really make any sense. He has to believe witches have existed at some point in human history for this to make even the slightest bit of sense. You have to be very literalist to believe in those sort of things in the Bible, giants and witches and things like that.
Then I heard lots of people raving about the finale. Morgan and I were about to start a new show, and I thought to myself, let's see what this is about. Let's see if they're really going to play into the
dark witchcraft, etc.
Right, that stuff. Exactly, that side of it, or are they going to stay more on the superhero side? Yes, she can do some magic, treat it kind of like, Cinderella, where she's just, the bippity boppity, yeah.
Bippity boppity boo!
I was thinking to myself, we'll see how much they play into the witchcraft, the magic. If they stay mostly away from it, let's go ahead and watch it and see what it's about. If
but
they
why?
really play into it, we'll go ahead.
He hasn't explained his problem with... Please explain your problem with witchcraft. No offense if you're into Wicca and you'd prefer to identify as a witch. You're real, because there you are, you exist. But like, Harry Potter, Scarlet Witch, doing a red power and firing a beam at a robot or whatever... That's not real.
So, episode 7 or 8, it got really dark in our opinion, just with the witchcraft and like bringing in the Salem trial, witch trial type things, and this other character comes in and she's really, really dark.
The enchantments and the power.
Yeah, she's a villain. They should have been into that, really. Like, this dark witch character comes in and she's bad. I mean, she's awesome and people love her, so maybe kind of get that. But we still don't know why it's bad to have witches in a TV show.
Yeah.
So Paul he said to me, Morgan, I'm personally not going to watch the finale. I'm just going to stop here. And when he said that, it was interesting because I was like, well, we've watched it this long. Like, literally, there's only one episode left.
Just watch the last one.
And it's the episode that everyone's raving about, saying how strong the finale was.
Yes, so that was...
Honestly, like, the penultimate episode was my favorite one. Each to their own.
That was the first thought that ran through my mind. And then I was just kind of like, okay, first of all, I don't need to have an attachment to a show so much that like if I can't watch the next episode or the finale, that like it literally like affects me and it makes me mad that I don't get to watch it or whatever. And Paul...
Yeah, having feelings about not being able to do stuff you enjoy because your husband doesn't want to do them, that's wrong. Why should you have feelings about not being able to do things that you want to do? That's just silly.
Paul wasn't telling me that I couldn't watch it. He just literally said for himself he's not going to watch it.
Even though if she had said, okay, cool, Paul, I'm going to watch it, I may have had some encouragements for her, but...
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he didn't need to tell her, because she knew that he would then argue with her.
I think that's where a lot of people are, is like they get into a show and it's like fine for even maybe a whole season, but then the second season comes along and you realize, dang, they've taken a lot of liberties.
Sure.
They have added in a lot of things that were not in the first season, but I've already invested so much time in this show, like, I'll just have to look past it. I know that.
So is this a Christian perspective on the sunk cost fallacy? Because I'm not really getting the Christian perspective out of this. What I'm getting is that they watched this show and it has witches in it, which Paul doesn't really like anymore because of 2 years ago, because of what happened 2 years ago. And then they stopped watching it, and now they're talking about how lame it is to get invested in something because of the sunk cost fallacy. And I'm not being given the Christian perspective that I was promised. Give me some Bible at least. Give me something.
That I did that a lot in the past, and so this time around...
Oh, Morgan's dark past where she got invested in TV shows she wanted to watch. Probably pre-marriage to Paul. She could watch all the TV shows she wanted. It was a horrible, heretical life that she lived, watching TV shows all the time.
I was like, I'm a changed woman. I do not need to watch this show. And it is right. It's like, I'm trying to live this holy lifestyle. So why would I invite this darkness into my life through a TV?
Okay. I'm trying to live a holy lifestyle, so why would I invite this darkness into my life? Bitch, have you read the Bible? I'm just saying, there's some pretty dark shit in that. If you're trying to live a life free from darkness, then going exclusively to the Bible is probably counterintuitive. Not trying to throw shade at any, normal Christians. Abrahamic religions, the one text that most of them have in common is the Old Testament. And the Old Testament, if you're talking about dark fiction, it's pretty fucking dark.
TV show. I don't care what it's through. It's through something, and it's dark, and it's heavy, and I don't want that.
And once again, I want to reiterate that we do have different convictions. There is a gray area. As we said, the Grammys, Cardi B performance, I don't call that a gray area. I call that
What did I'm gonna have to find out what Cardi B did at the Grammys now. She probably just waved her butt around or something and... Oh, she performed WAP. Of course they hated it. Of course they hated it. It's about women having pleasure.
However you look at it, for a Christian, I call that is ungodly. Don't watch it. With this, I think there's more gray area, but kind of along the lines of what you were just saying. Recently, we were at Awakening Night, and Hannah Williamson's dad was given a word, and one thing he said that really just made a lot of sense to me. He was talking about the movies that Christians are okay with. You wouldn't be okay with someone coming in your front door and just starting to drop the F-bomb, 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 and yet you invite shows into your home that are dropping the F-bomb left and right. Christians, you wouldn't be okay, hopefully not.
Is the fact that they can't say fuck part of why they're so repressed? I think they might have just explained themselves to me. They can't even say it, like, of course they're gonna have issues.
Watching through your window, your neighbors have sex, and yet you invite into your home shows and movies where the characters are having sex.
Well, no, you wouldn't watch through their window because that's a really creepy invasion of privacy. I think Paul completely misunderstands why watching your neighbors have sex is a problem. Like, if you had prearranged it with them and you were allowed to be there, then there actually wouldn't really be anything wrong with watching your neighbors have sex. Watching your neighbors have sex through the window is wrong for completely different reasons than Paul thinks.
And some of us are so okay with that, or so desensitized to that, justify.
What if the film you're what if in the film you're watching it's a godly married couple having sex? Why isn't that okay to watch? Unless you're watching porn, you don't generally see sex in a movie. You just, like, it's implied by context, It's like, kissing and here's some bits of a naked body and then it cuts to the next scene.
It, and I love that analogy, and so I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this show, suddenly episode 7 comes around, 6 or 7, and yeah, there's this straight up, the witches are all in a circle and they're casting, enchantments, and I'm just like, I don't need to welcome this into my home. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't welcome witches coming in to say they're about to do a ritual.
He does believe in witches. So, okay, hang on. So he believes that witches in real life can do rituals. Why does he think that watching a TV show is like inviting something into his life? I don't understand. Does he think that the witches are gonna come out of the screen and affect him? Is he worried that Morgan's gonna watch it and then be tempted to become a witch? Like, what exactly is the concern here? What are we worried about happening? They're gonna watch it and think that it's great and love these characters, and then one day they're going to meet real witches and they're going to be like, well, because of WandaVision, I think you're okay, and then they're going to be ungodly and go to hell. Like, what exactly is the concern? Say witches, as they described, turned out to be a real thing. How would their convictions be affected by having watched an episode of a TV show that features witches? I might actually have to move you. He's so gorgeous. He is so gorgeous. I completely understand. His name is Dewey, by the way. I completely understand why my camera would want to focus on Dewey because he is beautiful. But I keep finding myself out of focus when I'm editing because the camera loves to focus on him so much that I might actually have to move you out of shot for when I film.
And in making their enchantments and stuff. I wouldn't welcome that into my home. So why am I welcoming it through the TV screen?
I think it's a really good point, and
I wouldn't welcome the heffalump into my home to stomp around and do its heffalump stuff. So why would I let a heffalump in through my TV? That doesn't mean anything, Paul. Just because you go like this after you said it doesn't mean that you said something profound. I wouldn't let Krampus into my house via the chimney. So why would I let him in through a movie?
That to me, hearing Hannah's dad talk about that was like, whoa, this is such common sense.
It's common sense.
But
Why? How has our minds been pulled so far away from common sense?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it?
How have our minds been pulled so far away from common sense? Gee, I wonder. It's like, it's common sense to believe in and fear witchcraft. Duh, it's common sense to think that a TV show that features a witch can negatively impact my godly life somehow. Duh, it's just common sense. I've got all these fucking skeletons and shit in my house. That's probably why I'm on the road to darkness. Was I an ungodly heathen and then I started collecting skulls and things? Or did I start collecting skulls and things? No, I was already ungodly as fuck.
Kind of going from, oh, this is okay, a little bit bad. This is getting kind of bad, but everyone else is watching it around me. I don't really want to be that guy. This is, and I mean, that's a real thing.
I just think it's so countercultural to start watching a show and get invested, and then to be like, no, I'm going to stop in the middle of this season because they've crossed too many lines. I'm not going to try to find the good in the rest of the show. I'm going to stop. Guys,
Yeah, don't try and find the good in things. Don't try and find the good. Just toss it away. Just push everything out that isn't the strict, organised beliefs that you've held your entire life. Don't try to find the good in things. Just get rid of them.
we need to take this more seriously, in my opinion, about what
Do we?
we are ingesting on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What are you listening to music-wise?
Tell me why. What about ingesting witch-related material is affecting society in such a way that you think it is important that we must challenge it? I know she's talking more generally, but specifically here in this video, we're talking about the problem of witchcraft in the media. What is the public concern? And if it's such a huge concern, why has it not been a problem the whole time that we've had media? Because, witches have always been a thing. Point me to some evidence of how it's affected people. Just give me some explanation of why the witch thing is bad. That is fundamental to this discussion. It's like a Christian perspective on why WandaVision is bad, and what they've said is because witchcraft is bad, and they've not elaborated on that in any way. There's no explanation at all for why witchcraft is bad anyway, and then why witchcraft in media is bad, and why you can't consume fiction that contains anything that is not strictly Christian, because I wager that they do genuinely consume loads of stuff that is contradictory to their specific beliefs.
What types of books are you reading? What types of shows are you watching?
I read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the weekend. That's a pretty Christian story. It's a godly, pious man who meddled too much with science and comes to regret it. I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows. That does have witches in it, actually. That has witches and vampires in it, so that's probably a big no-no.
You don't have to look in scripture very far to see verses that call certain things sin that we might be allowing ourselves to be okay with. The verse where Paul says, whatever is pure, whatever is right, whatever is noble, think on these things. And yet we're so okay with allowing ourselves to think on things.
Okay, so he says think on pure things. He doesn't say don't think on witches. Irrelevant.
That are not that. Paul says to flee sexual immorality. How much sexual immorality is coming through our TV screens? The Bible says do not give the devil a foothold. How many of us are willingly giving the devil a foothold into our lives?
How does watching a TV show that features witches give the devil a foothold? I need an explanation, Paul. None of this works because you haven't explained any of it. These aren't reasons. This is a rubbish Christian perspective. I'm very disappointed in you.
Which maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know that you're giving the devil a foothold by watching certain things and pouring time, investing your heart and energy into a show. Like, I get it. I like Downton Abbey.
Downtown Abbey.
I'm still trying to figure out
Abbey.
why I like it and why so many people like it. I don't really know, but for some reason I do.
Because you're a human being and human beings just enjoy things. Just you don't have to analyze why you enjoy a piece of fiction. Just live your life, Morgan. Just let yourself enjoy things, please. Just let yourself enjoy things until the point where Paul comes in and says, we're not doing this anymore, and then you're not allowed.
But sometimes we have to be okay with just saying, peace out, I'm done with this. I'm not going to watch this show. I'm not going to listen to this artist anymore. And like, I don't think it's a legalistic thing to do that. It is a thing to do to protect your heart, to protect your mind, your spirit, to be above reproach.
Be above reproach, that's good.
And we are taking that.
That's good. 10 good girl points for you.
I truly appreciate cinema. I appreciate good film. I enjoy watching it. We enjoy watching it on date night. So don't think that we're like saying you have to completely avoid it. I think that the world still puts out good art, good stuff that we can take good things from. But we
Just not if it includes witches. It makes perfect sense.
also need to realize there's stuff that probably needs to be avoided. I hope you guys would at least agree with that, even if you're almost just like laughing, saying, oh, Paul and Morgan, you guys are going a little too far here. I hope you would admit, but yes, there are things that Christians should avoid. Maybe for you, that's Game of Thrones or Wolf of Wall Street, you know, just like kind of these most extreme ones, and then you're okay with everything up to that point. You do have your
I love Wolf of Wall Street. I don't have anything else to add. I just love that film and I thought I would add that in.
point, and we're suggesting that maybe reevaluate if your point is where God would want it to be.
Like, to understand his point, I've had to do outside reading and pull from context and make assumptions about what Paul and Morgan's beliefs are because they haven't properly expressed why this is a problem. It's like the worst explanation perspective video ever because it gives no proper explanation. It doesn't mean anything.
For you to get super concerned and, oh, is this had this in it, so I don't know what to do. You can just spend some time in prayer and maybe pull back a little bit if you're super immersed in these kind of
Yeah, spend some time in prayer. God doesn't have time to deal with children dying of starvation or, the global pandemic that's happening right now. He doesn't really have time to worry about people who are dying of cancer. But if you're not sure if you should watch that TV show, you bet your ass God is gonna be there responding to you.
iffy things.
And let the IMDb Parents Guide become your new best friend.
I do like the Parents Guide. It's good. It really is helpful.
I didn't know there was a parents guide on IMDb. That's cool. I personally am a fan of Does the Dog Die? Does the Dog Die, which is a website that obviously tells you if the dog dies, but it also lists other triggers and content warnings. I use that quite a lot. That's actually a really good website. So if you are worried about the kind of content that might be in a film, I suggest you do that. Maybe the IMDb Parents Guide is good too. I don't know if it will tell you if there's witches in a film. Unclear on that.
And it really is helpful.
Does it include
It's
witches?
in there. I didn't know that. I'll probably avoid this movie. Or it has this multiple times throughout the movie. Probably good for me to avoid.
Says the F word 156 times?
We were looking at maybe watching this movie because I like one of the actors and so forth. It had 110 F-bombs. Pass, Is it common sense or are we crazy,
What? I need a whole nother video on what's wrong with saying fuck. Give me a sequel. What I want, first of all, what I want is to understand if they do literally believe in witches, why it's actually bad to watch media with witches in it. And then I want a video about why saying fuck is bad and why saying fuck once in a movie is okay, but why saying fuck all the time is really bad. If you're looking for a movie to take your children to, then yeah, that is probably common sense. But for two grown-ass adults who can make their own decisions and formulate their own opinions, they're so afraid of hearing fuck that many times that they might start emulating it? You're adults.
Is that fair to ask? All right, so comment below. First off, did you watch WandaVision? And
I did.
What are your thoughts on it? You see where...
Okay, he's telling me to comment, so I'm going to comment. I watched WandaVision. Incidentally, her name is Wanda Maximoff. What was the next question, Paul?
What are your thoughts on it? You see where we're coming from? You see things differently?
My thoughts are thus. It was a beautiful show. Handled grief phenomenally well. Very different from the usual Marvel formula. I would love to comment on your thoughts and whether I agree, but I didn't feel they were explained. Do you believe in witches? I assume you must. But why? And further, why is witchcraft in fiction so dangerous to explore? Are you afraid that your beliefs are so fragile as to be threatened by a television show? XOXOXOXO. I wasn't really sure how to end it, so I ended XOXOXO. So, the long and short of it is, witches are bad, and therefore, fiction about witches is bad. I've learned nothing from this perspective. I guess maybe it wasn't intended to be educational, but I wanted to learn something. We got like 2 Bible passages from Paul, but they didn't actually contain any information about witches, so I'm still confused. So I hope we've all learned something today. Primarily that you shouldn't enjoy things. If you enjoy things too much, then you better step back, especially if your husband tells you to. Those are the main lessons I feel we're being taught here. That's Paul and Morgan. So they have all kinds of interesting content. So they have a new hot topic video, which is called Jesus Died for Lil Nas Too, but we need to talk. I'm kind of interested in reading that, but it's a slightly heavier topic. Incidentally, if you just want like a long and short version, I'm on Lil Nas's side. Just in case you were wondering. At some point, I might look at that. Just like at some point I want to look at Classically Abby's anti-choice video. But it's just too heavy for me right now. I don't have the spoons for that kind of content. So I wanted to look at something stupid and fun, like why you shouldn't be allowed to watch TV shows, which I think it definitely did entertain me. And my god, the intro video. It will haunt my dreams. I will see Paul and Morgan walking towards me doing this. Like, as I sleep tonight. It's honestly the scariest thing. Way scarier than witches. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do consider hitting the like button, sharing the video, subscribing so you don't miss more. Check out my other channel. All of my social medias are in the description. As always, feel free to check them out. Come and watch me on Twitch. Come and hang out. Do a fun time. Blah, blah, blah. Goodbye, I love you.